What's up, guys? This is Vinay, and welcome to Set Up to Win, where we help get your life to that next level. And if you haven't already, check out part 1 of this series, where we give you some examples of people who did and did not master the 3 steps of getting rich and staying rich. I'm going to talk about how the rich get rich and stay rich. Again, this is not financial advice. These are just my opinions. So, how do you apply this to your own life so that you can get rich? Let's talk about keeping more of the money that you make. If you ask most people what their biggest expense is, they might say something like housing, cars, or something like that. In most cases, they're wrong. The biggest expense for most people is taxes. The average American works from January to May of each year just to pay taxes to the government for that year. That's ridiculous. According to the Tax Foundation, Americans spend more on taxes than food, clothing, and housing combined. Again, it's not how much you make, it's how much you keep. How do wealthy people mitigate their taxes and keep more of what they make? It turns out a lot of it's through corporations and other strategies like that. Let's contrast how normal people handle taxes with how rich people do. How normal people handle taxes is that they earn money and then they pay tax on all the money that they earned, and whatever's left over, they can spend. How wealthy people do it is that they earn, they spend, and then they pay tax on whatever's left over. This is done through business write-offs and things like that. Outside of handling your taxes well, you need to be careful not to fall into all those consumer traps. I love this quote from Dave Ramsey. He says, "We buy things we don't need with money we don't have to impress people we don't like." Most of our society is focused on making money and spending on things to look rich, to show off to others that they've made it. What wealthy people do is they make money, invest that money into assets, and then the assets pay for their lifestyles. Money talks, but wealth whispers. However, all investments are not created equally. Each investment has its own set of risks, and you need to understand these risks before you put your money into anything. What if you invest into something and it loses its value? What was the point of that? You might as well have spent the money or just kept it in the bank. Look at Antoine Walker. He didn't understand the real estate investments he invested his hard-earned money into, and he ended up losing it all. Contrast that with Shaq, who not only understands the businesses he invests into, but he trusts the people he invests with. And that's another thing. If you're investing with anyone, you need to evaluate their track record to make sure that your money's in good hands. What's bad is that most people are led to believe that they need to invest directly into the stock market because that's what everyone says they should do. The problem is that very few of these people actually understand how the stock market works. And despite what most people will tell you, the stock market is not a safe place for you to preserve your money because of its volatility, meaning that it goes up and down and many times goes below what you invested. For example, let's look at the S&P 500 index. And for you young people out there who have never experienced a market crash, be careful. The market goes in cycles, and you need to learn the lessons that history teaches us. Those who don't understand history are doomed to repeat it. You don't want to be on the losing end of a market crash. Learn from the mistakes of those who came before you so that you don't need to make those expensive mistakes yourself. Now let's get to our example. Let's say you had $100,000 invested in the S&P 500 index at the beginning of the year 2000. Look at the year-by-year account balance. By the end of 2002, your account went down from $100,000 to around $62,000. How is it smart to have invested that money? The market finally rebounded in 2003, but that original $100,000 took 7 years just to get back to its original value. Think about that. Your money sat in the stock market and it took 7 years to do nothing. And guess what? It gets worse. If you kept your money in that same S&P 500 index, the market would take another dip, and it would take until 2010 to get back to your original amount. Again, 10 years for your money to do nothing. But what's really scary is that if you adjust for inflation, it would take you until 2013 to get back to your original invested amount. 13 years to do nothing. Tell me again how this is a good investment? Meanwhile, look at a wealthy person who managed their wealth better by employing something called downside protection, meaning they make sure the money they invested doesn't go below the original invested amount. Say they were able to compound their $100,000 at 10% year over year for that same time period, 2000 to 2013. Their account value went from $100,000 to around $280,000. And if it was invested in a vehicle such as commercial real estate and they planned out their taxes well, then all of those earnings are not even going to be hit by taxes. And this is adjusted for inflation. And this is very conservative, because when the market tanks, it doesn't mean that everyone loses money. No, it just means that there's a transfer of money happening. This is when the rich get richer. They are the only ones in a position to scoop up assets for pennies on the dollar. And as the market recovers, they accelerate their growth that much more because those same assets recover their value very quickly. So let's say they were able to compound their money at 15% year over year, which is very realistic. Now that $100,000 in 2000 has grown to around $529,000 by 2013. And again, that is adjusted for inflation. So let's compare that for a minute. If you did what everyone told you to do, your money would have done nothing for 13 years. Meanwhile, people who employed downside protection made their money multiply 3 to 5 times its original amount. This is just one of the ways the rich keep getting richer. So you can see that when you master these 3 steps, making money, keeping that money, and multiplying the money, you will be able to get so much further than everyone else. So be careful who you listen to. Everyone out there has an opinion, but don't listen to those people who you don't want to end up like. Listen to the people who you do want to end up like. If you master making money, but you don't know how to preserve it and grow it, you can only go so far. Even if you make more money, you won't get any further. You might look rich from the outside, but you're just on a bigger hamster wheel that's going nowhere. On the other side, if you don't know how to make money, but you know how to preserve it and grow it, you won't get that far either. You need to master all 3 skills: making money, keeping money, and having that money make more money if you not only want to get rich, but stay rich. Preserving and growing your money will allow you to build a rock-solid foundation that you can build your empire on. I hope you liked this video, and I'd love to hear your thoughts, so please comment below. And if you enjoyed this video, like, share, and of course subscribe. I'll see you guys next time.